it's really annoying when video game gets interrupted by some DEI woke bullshit, and I'm like, Jesus, I was playing a video game here. Can you just leave the video games alone? You don't want to do things that damage art. So it breaks you out of the story.
Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered will soon be released. And of course, as you might guess, Millennium activists got so extremely butthurt over a statue. A statue. How dare this statue not look to my liking? You cannot please these people. If you give them an inch, they will take a mile. But surely enough, the developer of this remastered collection, Aspyr, has slightly altered the statue's face since the first showing a couple of months ago. So either the team noticed the fake outrage, or what I think was more likely, they just made quality of life improvements from feedback given to them by QA testers. And I found it amusing that Mark Kern of all Millennium activists are acting as if developers never fine-tune in-game visuals. According to them, they never have betas, or alphas, or any rough, early stages in game development. It's like they think these developers just create without needing to make changes like a pencil sketch of still life. So I asked him, are you going to tell us, Mark, that you'd never had any of your games polished or tested for quality assurance? And then I showed off a handful of games that received visual improvements before each one's release. And sure enough, this guy loses it. Because I caught him spouting baseless propaganda like he always does. He's supposed to be this decades-old producer in video games, and for him to not be able to recognize the quality assurance process would make him look like a fraud. And seeing that he has to examine everything under a woke microscope to pay his bills today, of course he's going to double down on how this was the developer trying to be woke. And when you actually look at the comparison photos and what he's complained about for the past year, he makes absolutely no sense. Here we go.
The Cope is sad. You're starting to see this argument about why the Soul Reaver remake statue changed. Actually, it's just work in progress and a natural part of development.
Yes. I'm here to tell Mr. Video Game CEO Extraordinaire how video games are made. That's what I don't understand about people like Grummz and Millennium. They claim they've had these prominent jobs in the game industry, but suddenly they pretend as if they're outsiders, and this is the very first time they're being exposed to things about games that veterans would be very familiar with. You're pretty much begging for people to believe your stupid woke narrative. People should know not to fall for this.
It's just WIP is BS when you have an already existing game and you are doing a remaster and you deliberately make manjaw, deliberately remove hips, boobs. You had a full reference to work from. All you had to do was copy it.
There was not one thing that he wrote here that is correct here. Let's start from the beginning, though. He says that because the game is a remaster and that there was an original game before it that they're taking data from, that the developers shouldn't be designing the game in beta stages. That is such a ridiculous argument, seeing that the first Soul Reaver game released in 1999 for the PS1, where each character had grainy textures and a low number of polygons. Raziel had textured-on ears and twig-like limbs. They wouldn't go through all this effort to overhaul the game visually only to retain textured-on ears and twig-like limbs. Clearly, Crystal Dynamics wants this game to make money. Aspyr has developed numerous ports of old games in the past without updating any of the graphics. The Star Wars games, for instance. They're updating the graphics for Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, simply because they want this game to sell. They don't want to treat this like some rinky-dink re-release, because that would offer nothing new. Why re-release the same game you can obtain second-hand on the PS1 or emulate for free? With the updated visuals, the game looks appealing to both old Legacy of Kain fans in addition to fans who never played the series before. So Crystal Dynamics clearly wants this game to make money, just like they want the older Tomb Raider games to make money. Let me remind you again, the company that did not want any classic Tomb Raider games to be made or released was Square Enix. Why didn't they want to remake these older games? Why not ask that question? But anyway, the statue 2 originally had a low number of polygons, and she also has the manjaw that you fucking loathe so badly. So as if we know not to take you seriously already, that's another indicator. As far as the rest of her body goes, nothing changed. Her hands are covering her boobs in the first screenshots, but I don't see any difference in bodily proportions. Are my eyes lying? Can you find the difference?
Good thing Saber didn't listen to people like you and instead listened to gamers and changed it back.
What did I tell Saber to do? These propagandists instantly assume anybody that disagrees with them all have the same mindset and the same political motives. That is wrong. I never told game developers they need to get woke and go broke. I'm saying you're grossly overreacting to a design that never even looked unappealing to start with. As far as the remark goes on how they changed it back, well, clearly this makes no sense either. First you argue that the models need to go back to having low polygon counts, and now you're saying it was changed back. Pretty much all they did was modify her lips, unless that's an expression that the statue makes. You don't even know the point you're trying to make here. You're just desperate to try to paint Aspire in a bad light over a problem fabricated from the propaganda machine you work for. What was wrong with the statue to begin with? Nothing. It's a statue that they added polygons to so that she didn't look like cardboard. Grow a spine.